The Marvel gods have spoken. And by gods, I mean the people actually in charge of Marvel games, which has changed a bit over the past couple of years, and why I want to talk about this, especially related to Marvel vs. Capcom and its future. What's up guys, Max here, and some pretty interesting stuff happened at E3 in terms of Marvel games, and the guy that's in charge of Marvel games now seems to have a very different opinion than previous people who have been running the entire company of what Marvel games are going to be. Jae Ong recently came out and was talking a whole bunch about SpiderMan, which was the latest game shown at the PlayStation press conference and is being made by the guys at Insomniac Games. We're not here to talk about that, but we're here to talk about what he said in regards to the future of that. Mostly he was going on about the plans to bring the superheroes and big Marvel franchises back to consoles because it's something that has been lacking lately. And while he's been questioned about, well, Marvel games are already huge on mobile, we all know about Contest of Champions, so that practically feels like it's taking over Marvel vs. Capcom and several other things. That's not his focus. The focus of this guy right now is to make Marvel games on consoles as big and as epic as possible, which is very good news, not only for people that like Marvel in terms of its characters and franchises, but overall the quality of games, because it seems that the one person that is in charge of this stuff now really does seem to care about it and wants to provide such games that are equally as good as the Batman Arkham Knight series and Injustice from NetherRealm and WB. He did later go on to say that there are several titles in the works that they can't talk about, some being made by Telltale and even other developers that they can't mention, but this is a extremely good thing, and this is what got me initially focused on this story, because this is a dramatic shift from the Marvel games that we know of that was working on the initial Marvel vs. Capcom 3 series and some other future Marvel titles like Marvel Origins that came out around that time frame. We still know that Capcom does not have the distribution license for those characters, so the Marvel vs. games aren't available to purchase anywhere digitally right now, and they're not being redistributed in stores, which we talked about. But there was something kind of weird that popped up that somebody sent me over Twitter, which was Marvel vs. Capcom 2 showing up on Xbox One. Now, I don't think this was an HD remake. I don't think this is a upgrade of the version. It's probably a backwards compatible version, but no one can even chalk up what the heck it came from or what exactly it was, so there's a chance if it was real that it was immediately deleted, or it might not have been real at all. But it's just kind of a weird coincidence that it would show up right around this time. Now, if we flash forward a few more days, a little bit past E3, this story gets even more interesting because Jae Ong was asked by Polygon in an interview specifically about one of the most requested Marvel games that is actually out there right now, and believe it or not, it's Marvel vs. Capcom 4. It might be kind of hard to think, but there is a ton of people anytime you mention Marvel games in the works, and if you pay attention to forum threads or anytime a big news piece comes up, Marvel 4 is usually hot amongst the topics in terms of like fans, casual fans, and hardcore fans. Now, he was asked specifically about this because not that long ago there was things that happened with Ultimate Marvel 3. They could not actually do things about the balance of the game because they had to get approval from Marvel on all balance adjustments and stuff like that. But he did talk a little bit about the future of Marvel vs. Capcom, which is at least reassuring. He said that there is nothing that they can say at this time, of course, but Jay did say that they hear this a lot in terms of Marvel 4. They love the fans of the series and they really want to please them, but right now, beyond that, they just can't say anything at this time, but who knows what the future holds. Essentially, it's just a whole lot of nothing. It's not a direct confirmation, it's also not a deconfirmation, but personally, I find it interesting that he would address it, addressing the fact that this is one of the most requested Marvel games out there right now, and it's coming up on just over 4 years since the older Marvel vs. Capcom game, so there's been quite a bit of time in between these titles to actually allow for a sequel to be made. We have no idea the plans Capcom might have after Street Fighter V, much less their ability to make it, but it really is a different kind of situation because Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was not developed by Capcom internally. It was outsourced to another Japanese studio by the name of Aiding, who has a whole bunch of experience with making fighting games, including Tatsunoko vs. Capcom in the past, before they did Marvel 3. So here we are now, and I know a lot of you guys are asking, what does this mean? And I'm going to give you my personal opinion based on the things I've seen in this industry, based on working with Capcom and Marvel literally directly on the Marvel series in the past, and based how this story is kind of unfolding, I'm pretty confident that potentially in the next couple of years we're going to get an announcement of Marvel vs. Capcom 4. This isn't an official confirmation because I'm just making an assumption, and I've been pretty damn lucky on my assumptions over the past couple of years, but it just seems like it'd be the right time. Is there a chance that there's going to be all the characters we love from the old games? Because Marvel 3's roster was obviously tailored to that of the Avengers series and the modern Marvel. Well, probably not, because the X-Men characters are completely stuck in limbo over at Fox, and there is an ongoing issue why there wasn't a lot of X-Men characters in Marvel 3, because they're trying to phase out the X-Men. They don't want to put X-Men characters in anything that is in the official Marvel Studios lineup until Marvel can completely get the rights back for those characters from Fox, and that is an ongoing issue that would probably not be addressed if another Marvel vs. Capcom 3 game did get made. You're probably not going to see many X-Men characters. I do remember that even for the previous game, we heard stories that Seth Killian, who was helping out, was having to fight tooth and nail to get Sentinel and Storm into the game because of their long-running legacy with the series. And even that was extremely hard to make that possible. So just imagine how hard it would be to get Cable and a whole bunch of other characters. I'm still shocked that Deadpool made it into the game, and then Deadpool has a movie that is technically not under Marvel Studios. It's an entire mess. But either way, based on this and based on the way Jay is talking about his management of Marvel games now, I'm pretty excited. That Spider-Man game looks really good, and I can only hope that his interpretation of big, epic console games in the future would eventually come down the line to another Marvel vs. Capcom title that would be made by Capcom. As always, dudes, thank you a ton for watching. This was some pretty interesting information, and the way it's evolved over the past week is kind of crazy, and it just makes me feel like there's a really good chance for this happening. But as soon as there is more info, as soon as there's any confirmation of any kind, you know that there will definitely be videos on this channel. But this is just something weird that's been happening, and I have hope rather than having absolutely none about a year ago. Take care, dudes. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.